Hey folks, this is Kalani. We've only been in Season 3 of Dragonflight for about a week at this point, but the dev team are already chugging along with our next content patch. 10.2.5 has been announced and it's already on the PTR with a whole bunch of new features and content for us to get excited for, including the ability to run dungeons all by yourself, and dragon riding is finally being opened up and we'll be able to soar through the air almost anywhere we want. We also have some pretty large nerfs for a handful of classes to talk about, and there are some other activities currently going on that you might have missed with the season launch. There's a lot to talk about, so let's break it all down. Now before we jump in, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video. So first up this week we have a couple of nerfs to go over, starting with Beast Mastery Hunters. Apparently quite a few changes were made to how pet damage was calculated going into this patch, mainly to give Beast Mastery Hunters more value from augmentation evoker buffs. The big side effect here is that pet damage now scales with your weapon, so the better or the higher item level weapon you can get your hands on, the more damage your pets are going to do, which will end up being a large increase for your damage overall. Basically, Beast Mastery now actually scales with weapon item level, which is a great change in my opinion. Unfortunately, this also caused Beast Mastery to go a bit crazy for a little while there in terms of damage, so much so that the dev team has nerfed Kill Command, Bite, Claw, Smack, Flanking Strike, Frost Storm Breath and Burrow attack damage by a whopping 32.5%. Beast Mastery was putting out some crazy damage numbers at the start of the week, so it's not too surprising to see them get nerfed by quite a large amount. The good news is that even with these nerfs in play, Beast Mastery is doing very well right now, so don't let these nerfs put you off playing BM in the new patch. Another annoying side effect is that Mend Pet and Revive Pet will no longer automatically switch when your pet is alive and dead, so you will need to use a macro or just have each ability on your bar individually until those problems can be resolved. So if you thought something was going wrong with those two abilities, don't worry, it's not just you, it is actually broken. Now these nerfs specifically are actually already in the game as they were pushed via a hotfix, so if your BM Hunter damage suddenly dropped sometime earlier in the week, well now you know why. Now these next nerfs aren't for the live game but for our next patch 10.2.5, which just went up onto the public test realms. So 10.2.5's testing cycle has started already and there's a bunch of new content to look forward to, but we'll talk more about that after we go over these first class changes. The first big change is actually for a lot of classes. Shadowlands Covenant abilities that were brought forward into the talent tree will be getting new spell visuals to match their class visual kit instead of the original Covenant related visuals. So the examples given right now are Convoke the Spirits, Divine Toll and Sepsis, but with it being an ongoing process, I imagine any Covenant ability that has a strong visual effect will get changed moving forward. I'll give you examples on screen of some of the ones that we've got so far in this PTR build, so if you don't like that some talents don't seem to fit with your class themes and they've been left behind in Shadowlands, this should address most of those concerns. For specific class changes, Preservation Evoker is going to see a change to let Reversion casts proc Essence Burst to give you more reasons to actually cast Reversion, and then they're also going to see a big mana nerf. Almost all of their spells had their mana costs increased by 10%, so you'll be running out of mana more often and more easily with these nerfs in play. Monks also have a couple of changes. Dance of the Wind has been redesigned for both Mistweaver and Windwalker, and then Ancient Teachings now increases stamina by 5% while active for Mistweavers too. And then for the Shamans, their elementals are going to be smaller in size in instances for anyone but the Shaman, but remain the same size for the Shaman, just to make sure elementals aren't taking over everyone's field of view when there are more than a few Shamans in the group. That's all the big class changes we have to go over for right now, so not too many, but honestly that's not too surprising. With Season 3 just and so starting, the dev team are probably waiting for most of the dust to settle and will address class buffs and nerfs on the live servers before diving into larger changes on a future PTR cycle. So the real changes for 10.2.5 will probably start up in a few weeks, so that's something else to look forward to. Speaking of real changes, patch 10.2.5 looks like it will be bringing a lot of interesting updates our way. In the Blue Post announcement, we have a little graphic showing us a list of highlighted features. The patch will be called Seeds of Renewal and will introduce worldwide dragon riding, something called the Azerothian Archives, Gilneas will finally be reclaimed, Dragonflight follower dungeons, the Dragon Isle story epilogue, as well as Troll and Draenei customizations, Love is in the Air holiday updates, and additional Warlock demon customization. That's quite a lot packed into a 0.5 patch, and with the PTR up and running we can actually get some hands-on experience with many of these features. So 10.2.5 will finally introduce open world dragon riding, so we'll be able to dragon ride anywhere in the world where we can also fly. This should significantly speed up your travel time anywhere we could previously fly, and just make traveling more interesting in general. It could also significantly speed up your leveling on lower level characters. Dragon riding, or dynamic flight as they're calling it going forward, has been a huge positive change for the game in my opinion, and I'm glad the dev team are bringing it forward into the rest of the world and into future expansions. There is one limitation or change being implemented for dragon riding in the rest of the world though. Its speed is being reduced and capped at 80% of the speed we can achieve in the Dragon Isles. Apparently this is to ensure that travel doesn't become too trivial or quick in the old world, which wasn't designed with dragon riding in mind. Personally, I don't really understand this kind of reasoning. I remember the same arguments were being made with the Dracthea Soar ability just before the expansion launched. Travel time is the weirdest variable to try and control, and I think it's overall just unnecessary, but 80% dragon riding is still way better than passive flying, so I'll take it over no dragon riding if that's our only option. Another huge change for dragon riding is actually the Dracthea Soar ability. Not only will Soar now work with Vigor and all of your other dragon riding abilities, but the cooldown of Soar was basically removed as well. So going forward, Dracthea can just use Soar as their dragon riding option if that's what they want to do, including in the open world now. That's going to be a lot of fun, and it's another reason why Dracthea will remain special moving forward. We're also going to see something introduced called follower dungeons. You may have seen something about being able to take NPCs into dungeons or AI dungeon runs. These are all basically the same thing. You can queue into a normal mode dungeon by yourself or with up to 5 players, so you can go in with a full group or no one at all, and the game will fill in the gaps for you. So if you don't have a tank or a healer, you can queue as 3 DPS and you'll get NPC tanks and healers. If you queue by yourself, you'll just have a full group of NPCs that can take you through the dungeon. When you enter the dungeon, you'll also have a choice to lead the NPCs through so they can follow you, or you can switch it on to NPC guiding and they lead you through the dungeon, and then you can toggle that off and on as you wish. So even if you have no idea what you're doing, the NPCs will pull through the dungeon, so all you have to do is follow and contribute to whatever role you have selected. So in 10.2.5 we'll be able to run dungeons by ourselves or quickly put together a group with your friends, even if you only have a couple of people in your group total. This will reduce or remove any kind of group pressure you might be worried about as you hop into dungeons for the first time, and you can run them at your own pace. Even if you have to step away from the PC for an extended period of time, your NPCs aren't going to complain that you're wasting their time. So there are plenty of use cases for this new system, and I actually hope they expand it in the future. This is only available for normal dungeons to start off by the looks of things, so it's not going to let you farm for higher item level gear or currencies or anything like that. It's mostly just to see the dungeons, get the story quests completed, and see how the story progresses in each dungeon. It's basically story mode by the looks of things. One area I would love to see this expanded to work with is actually the warband feature coming in the War Within expansion. Instead of random NPCs helping you out, wouldn't it be cool if you could put together a group using your other characters and alts? You could customize them however you want, decide which class and spec each character would play, and maybe even gear them up together. There's definitely some potential here, and I'm interested to see how this feature progresses as we head into the next chapter of Warcraft. And then while it wasn't specifically noted anywhere in the announcement, it looks like we will also get a new-ish zone in 10.2.5. The zone of Yggdrasil is just off to the left of the Anaran Plains, and while it shares quite a few similarities with the Emerald Dream Zone of 10.2, there are also quite a few differences. We can't properly explore it right now, we just get kicked out, so I guess they aren't entirely ready to show us how different this new zone is going to be, or how Yggdrasil appearing in Azeroth for real is going to change things, so that's something we'll have to keep an eye on. Those are the big features that are currently available to test on the PTR, but as the PTR cycle continues and more builds add new and exciting features, I'll be sure to keep you updated as things progress. And then just in case you didn't already know, the 19th WoW anniversary event started up this week. The main advantage we gained during this event is a sweet 19% buff to experience and reputation gains. The XP buff can help you level up some ults a bit faster, but the rep buff is what most folks are wanting to take advantage of. There doesn't appear to be any restrictions on it, which means you can use the 19% buff to massively increase your Dream Warden's rep farming, and you can also get a special event-only mount and a few other rewards, so check out the event if you haven't already. It's also worth noting that Pilgrim's Bounty is starting up soon too, which will give you an extra 10% rep gains boost to take advantage of, so if you're still holding on to all of those big rep tokens from the campaign story progress in 10.2, you'll be able to stack those two big rep buffs together to get even more out of all of your tokens. But that's all the updates we have for this week, so that's it for this video. How do you feel about being able to run dungeons with a full group of NPCs? And what do you think about dragon riding being available in the wider world, even if it's limited to just 80% of your max speed? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and follow our members here on YouTube. You can see the names floating by on screen. If you'd like to add your name to the end of every video with a special shout out at the start of the next video, you can find links in the description over to Patreon or click the join button just below this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I'll see you next time.